Thank you for watching a special edition of Brevard News, and my name is Kevin Jeffrey, your moderator. This is your trusted news source for real news in Brevard County, and I am joined today by someone you probably know by now, and it's Katie Delaney, and she is running for County Commission seat 1, and we want to have a one-on-one with Katie, and we want to talk about what's going on in Brevard County and why it is that she is probably going to be your best bet to vote for as far as the one to replace Rita Pritchett. Now, we've got some serious problems in this county, in the country as well. Now, I was thinking about what Trump said at his inauguration. Remember, he said that we were changing not just from one party to another, but this inauguration was the change of the handing over of the government from the bureaucrats back to the American people.
Right.
Something needs to happen on that level as far as on the local level, right? I mean, we have the same
sure.
problem going on the local level where the bureaucrats have taken control of the government and the people are their serfs, basically, and they're really looking to make the people their serfs. Tell me where I'm wrong on that, or am I wrong?
Oh, you're not wrong at all.
Okay.
Yeah, we're seeing that at every level, in city government, county government. We were seeing it in the school board. Luckily, we have a new school board now, so they're doing a great job. But it's pretty disappointing to see these city managers and county manager just bulldoze over the people, and the officials just rubber stamp everything.
Yeah, we've seen this in several ways. We've talked about some of the problems in government, like consent agenda,
Right.
in which they are actually running a lot of the funding around the people. There's no conversation with the people about it.
Millions of
right?
dollars. Yeah.
Public records, they try to make it so expensive to be able to get public records where you can't keep them accountable. I mean, and it goes on and on for
If
the
they even
workshops.
admit to those public records. So many times people have gotten back the email, these records do not exist.
And the thing that strikes you is I watched the county commission meeting a couple of weeks ago. It appeared to me that there's just contempt
Yeah,
that the officials have for the people that they're supposed to be representing.
for sure.
So walk me through, why did you decide to run? And did these kind of things play into it at all?
Definitely. One of the things that really pushed me to decide to run for office was because I got involved as somebody who advocated for personal freedom, small government, just trying to make our government more efficient. And I just kept hitting roadblocks. And people telling me, "Oh, these ideas are too big, or we can't."
You mean the ideas of limited government?
Right. And so I just felt like, well, if I can't get these people to do what I want, from the outside, I've got to get involved and push for policies that are going to be great for our community, and which is fixing our infrastructure, responsible development, tackling the water issue. I mean, the fact that we don't have clean water in Brevard County just is mind-boggling. The fact that Aaron Brockovich had to come here a couple years ago and shine a light on that. The water advocates that have been fighting for this for years, they need somebody in office who's actually going to fight with them to actually change the things that need to be changed.
And where you can see the contempt in it, in that the city council had an opportunity to listen to the people.
Right,
82% of the
Titusville.
people in Titusville voted for the Clean Water Act, and then they keep appealing it. The last appeal,
Right.
they voted, it was a couple of months ago, that they would appeal it again and sue the very citizens
Right.
whom they say that they're representing.
Yeah, they sued them twice, and 2 judges said, no, this amendment is constitutional. For people who don't know, it's the Right to Clean Water Act in Titusville, and basically it just gives the people the right to sue the polluters, and I don't see the problem with that, and I don't know why a city government would see a problem in that. if they aren't the polluters.
But and this is the same city government. Let's walk back a few years ago. There was a initiative that was being voted on by Robert Jordan, who was pushing it,
Right.
and it was masking. Was it also including the shutting down of the city, or was it just masking
I think just
Titusville?
masking.
Okay, so just masking
Yeah.
Titusville, and he was really pushing it. Almost, it came down to one vote,
Right.
right? Where Titusville, the citizens of Titusville would have been forced to wear a mask. Now, it doesn't matter what you think about whether the pandemic or whatever, the question comes down to medical freedom.
And
Do
force.
people have the right to make decisions about themselves and their families? And
Right.
so this caught your attention as well.
Oh, yeah. I was an extremely involved advocate during COVID. And I personally believe in medical freedom. I think that people should be able to decide, what to do with their bodies. And personally, the thing that got me involved in that was my daughter was having an issue with the mask on. She would get dizzy spells and almost lost consciousness one time. And so why should these government officials tell me that I have to put this mask on my daughter? I just didn't feel like that was right. And so I fought against it. And luckily, our government did the right thing and didn't vote for this. But unfortunately, you're right. My opponent, Robert Jordan, he wanted to mask the city of Titusville against their will.
Well, he pushed it really hard.
Oh, yeah. And luckily, at the time, the city council of Titusville voted simply for a recommendation on masking, which that's fine. The government can recommend that. I don't see a problem in that because it's not forced.
So at this time, when you were watching this, so you're just a mom, right? You're taking care of your kids,
Right.
minding your own business.
Yeah.
And so what about these kind of events sparked your attention to the point that you wanted to run for office?
The thing that really scared me was that these public officials thought that it was appropriate or okay to come down and shut down businesses, shut down churches, shut down people's whole livelihoods, tell you cannot leave your house, you cannot, live your life. And they thought that they could do this to us. And I really hope that people don't forget what they did, because I think about it every day. And that's part of the reason why I'm running, is because we need officials who are there to support the people. Our whole job as government officials is to provide services for the people and, public safety, and make sure that we have a safe place to live. And that does not include the government telling us where we can go or how we can live our lives.
What's interesting is, so if you look at the Constitution, this is a unique Constitution in that it's different from any other Constitution in which it deems that the people are the government.
Right.
The government is actually the American people.
Right.
And the people in office are supposed to be the representatives of the people.
Right.
Where did this get lost?
Unfortunately, I think that people just get busy. I was there. I was a mom of 3 kids. I have a husband, and we're just living our life, raising our kids and working and just enjoying life. And you don't realize until something like COVID happened how much control the government has over your life. And I think that was a real wake-up call for people. And it was for me, for sure, because I got involved in every level of local government, not only the county, but the state level. And, I got involved I didn't even at the time know what a county charter was in 2021 or how important it was. And
But you've
I got
made up
involved
a
in
lot of
that.
ground.
Right.
Yeah.
I got involved in that revision process. Every 6 years, the county charter, which is basically our constitution for the county, gets revised. And I went to every single one of those meetings and got really informed. And it is empowering, because when you get involved and when you get informed, you realize how much power you have as a citizen.
And so would you say, and I like to say, and it seems to me, and I could be wrong, I don't know everything, that the politicians have baked into the equation the apathy of the people.
For sure.
And the apathy of the people seem like it empowers them.
Oh, yeah.
And then they just become more contemptible
Right.
in their attitude toward the people.
Right. One of the things that I've noticed going to some of these government meetings is that the people who are truly the most power hungry elected officials, they will berate you. I mean, if you're a citizen and you come in and you dare to challenge their authority, oh, once you sit down from your 3 minutes, they will go on for as long as they please, ripping people to shreds. And those are the people that we all need to get out of
But these are
office.
the people they're supposed to be serving this. It would
Right.
be like me when I worked at FedEx, going to my manager, just talking to them any kind of way.
Right.
I just couldn't conceive in my mind that I could ever
Right.
do that, right?
Right.
But they do it with impunity, like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
no big deal.
Oh, like it is their role to scold you, like you're some ill-informed person that how dare you question their authority? They're an elected official.
So how do we get the people to take their responsibility back and take control of the government that it actually belongs to them?
Right. Well, I think one of the things that that we're doing is helping people get informed by this podcast. Things like this, putting out the information in a way that is digestible to people. Because when you look through the government agendas, I mean, it's legal gobbledygook. I mean, and it's hundreds of pages of documents. People don't have time for that. And I honestly feel like they do that on purpose because they know people don't have time for it. And that's some of the stuff that emboldens them to do whatever they want because they know the people aren't looking through all of this information. And so this right here is so important to just get information out to people so that they can get it in a digestible way, like I said, and can get informed. Because if things come up in their neighborhoods, like for instance the West Cocoa situation with the neighborhood that's going in there, there are so many people who didn't know about that, and now that we've gotten the word out, and some advocates in that community, they've been doing a phenomenal job getting the word out. Now their whole neighborhood is galvanized and working together to figure out a solution.
So, so here you have some policies, and so the first one is Brevard First policy. So you're saying
Right,
that it's time to prioritize the interests of our citizens and to reinvigorate our community, fostering a prosperous future for all.
right.
Where we're at now, I mean, you don't see that happening, right?
Not at all.
So why? So what's going on, and how can we stop that?
Right. So one of the things is the overdevelopment that's going on in our county. Of course, growth is good. We want growth, but we want it in a way that's not going to destroy our community. So people move here for the quality of life that we have here. And if you destroy the quality of life, then you destroy your community. And so, as far as Brevard First policies, one of the things that I would like to do is rethink the way that we're developing our county, making sure that we have functioning infrastructure that can handle the people that are coming here, uh, fixing our infrastructure for the people who we have right now. Because,
Which there's a problem with as
oh
far as the
yeah,
funding and where some of the funding has gone with
for
that,
sure.
right?
And it's really unfortunate because Rita Pritchett and John Tobias, two of our commissioners, at the budget meeting a few weeks ago said, "Oh, well, that's the next commission's problem. We're not going to deal with that this year." And there's two of the longest sitting commissioners that we have on the commission right now. So this is
Both
their
running,
problem.
both running for another office.
It's insane.
You just want to throw your papers up in the air. Public safety, you say we must ensure our fire department, EMTs, sheriff departments are adequately supported for the safety of our county.
Right. Right. If we don't have a safe community, we have nothing. You can have the most shining, beautiful um, buildings and roads and all of that, but if you don't have the infrastructure of our public safety to keep our community safe, then we have nothing. So if we don't support our sheriff's department and our fire EMT paramedics, um, we will be in big trouble. And our fire department, especially our Brevard County Fire, they do a phenomenal job with minimal resources. And
Now they're underfunded. Now we
oh
found
yeah,
out about a year or so ago that they are constantly losing a lot of people
right,
to other counties who they come here,
right,
they're trained by Brevard
exactly,
County, and then they say thank you very much and
right,
go to another county which is paying higher.
exactly. 10 to 15,000 more a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, from one of the things that we found out last year is that the retention is
Mm-hmm.
really horrible,
Right.
and that they're having a hard time recruiting,
Yeah.
and they're
Well,
understaffed at this point,
the
right?
recruiting I found out is actually doing really well.
Okay.
Because they're going into the schools, they're doing a lot more recruiting efforts.
Okay.
But the issue is that once we recruit them, get them trained, get them working, they go elsewhere, like you said. And then on top of that, we're losing our experienced firefighters. And so when we don't have the experience in our paramedics and EMTs and firefighters, I mean, we lose lives.
Right. And the average Brevard County resident doesn't understand and doesn't see what's going on
Right.
there, and they won't see until it reaches a crisis
Right.
point, right?
Something that I learned the other day, which it seems like a simple thing, but I didn't know about this, was apparently our firefighters can get what's called steam burns. And depending on how much water you put on a fire, they could get steam burns if they
Mm.
put too much. I didn't even know that that was a thing. And so just a small thing like putting too much water on a fire could mean, our firefighters getting injured or not. And it's just a small thing like that only an experienced firefighter would know.
It's a very hazardous job.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're running into, burning buildings. So, of course, there's a level of hazard there.
So
But
what would you do to try to make sure that the sheriff department and the EMTs and the firefighters are more adequately paid for what they do?
I mean, of course, I would only be one vote on the commission, but I think it's unreasonable to not match or get somewhere closer to our surrounding counties to help keep our people here and working in
So
Brevard
why do you think
County.
that we aren't? I mean, why is Brevard County?
Mm.
And I understand that some of the counties like Orange County and some of the surrounding counties are
Right.
really, it's hard to match what they're paying some of the other firefighters, right? So,
Yeah,
I mean, who would want to stay here
exactly.
if the pay is not going to be consummate to what's going on around?
Right. Honestly, I don't know what the commission is thinking. I don't know um, how we could. I don't know how our firefighters wouldn't feel unappreciated because they could live right here in Brevard County, drive 20 minutes, 30 minutes outside of the surrounding area, make $10,000 to $15,000 more. It just is mind-boggling. We have a $2 billion budget, and you're telling me we don't have money to pay our firefighters?
Well, then you find out with the lifeguards a couple of
Right.
weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, similar problem.
Yeah.
So there's a issue with Cocoa Beach and some of the other
Right.
cities along the beach with the county, and
Mm-hmm.
and there's a squabble over money as to whether the county is going to give money. So what's happening in that situation?
I think that it's still going through the process right now. But for people who are unaware of the situation, the county thought that they'd be able to use a certain pot of money. I believe it's called TDC money, which is our tourism money, to pay for lifeguards. But it's not allowable the way uh, the way that it's written. So they can't use that money, the TDC money, for our lifeguards. So what they were going to do was the county was going to try to pay half and then the cities would pay half. But the cities, they weren't prepared for that.
Right. It
So,
was sprung on them without
right, without,
advance notice. Right.
exactly. There was no
So is the
communication, no nothing.
county of Brevard mismanaged
For
by
sure.
the county commissioners?
For sure.
Is it
Yeah.
intentional or is it just incompetence?
Oh, I honestly think that they trust their staff. And, I'm sure that there's loads of staff that work in the county that are phenomenal at what they do, but there's definitely some mismanagement going on, for sure.
Medical freedom.
Right.
So we talked about earlier the problems with masks. I mean, it was really a problem in Brevard County.
Right.
Not as bad as it was in some other areas, but
Mm-hmm.
you could see that there was a question that some politicians thought it their responsibility
Right.
to dictate to the public
Our
about what was
county
going to happen.
was one vote away from a mask mandate.
Right. And you saw that there was a problem with the school board as well,
Oh,
and so
yeah.
you had that going on. So
Right.
what would be your view of medical freedom, and how can we solve that in a way that's amicable to everyone? Because
Right.
some people wanted the mask,
Yeah.
but there were a lot of people who didn't.
Right. So like I said, I'm for medical freedom. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you want to wear a hazmat suit, wear a hazmat suit. Do whatever you feel is necessary to keep you and your family safe.
So how important is this to have medical freedom actually talked about and dealt with? I mean,
Right.
is this a fundamental right that people should have? Or
For sure.
okay.
Yeah, I believe that 100%.
So you have infrastructure as well. So we have, and you mentioned that we have problems in the infrastructure, that the
Right.
funding is not there to take care of the infrastructure in the county as we sit here today.
Right.
Would that be accurate to say?
For sure.
Okay.
I believe so. Unfortunately, the county left off the slide this year of our current numbers for our roads and capacity needs, and we have a very small portion that's funded. And the latest numbers that I heard were we need $800 million to just deal with the capacity needs on our roads today for the amount of people we have today.
And that's not counting the population growth
Right.
that's headed this way.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And that's not counting, I mean, our sewage plants. We have one in Port St. John, which is at 96% capacity.
Okay, I'm a citizen, so walk me. I look at my property tax bill, of which it's big,
Right.
and I look down and I see all of the different categories, and I see categories that cover all of this. So
Right.
tell me, what am I missing as to why this is not being funded?
Right. That's where I was talking about earlier with the mismanagement of these funds. I hate to say, I'm not going to say
Intentional?
that.
That's not, I
Yeah,
shouldn't want to say that word.
it's really unfortunate because we pay a lot of money to live in the Space Coast, and whenever the county is asked for different taxes, tax increases or sales tax because we need to support the schools or the Indian River Lagoon, our community has done that. And where are we now? Why do we have all of these infrastructure problems?
Okay, so tell me, how can the citizens of this counties get involved and solve this issue? And it
Hmm.
just seems to me, just having been involved for a couple of years, that they seem to not be concerned that the people are concerned about what's going on.
Right.
Am I wrong about that?
Right. They basically are like, how dare you question what we're doing? We have a plan and this is what we're doing, and how dare you disagree with us? That's their attitude
So
towards
is it we are the experts type
Right.
thing? Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what can the people do? So the average person sitting out listening to us now, what can they do
Right.
outside of voting for you? We know that that's probably a good thing. What can they do to help change what's going on in Brevard County?
Right. So, if you can, watch this podcast because there's a lot of great information that comes out. And then just try to keep an eye on what's going on in your community. Check out the county commission meetings. Check out if you live in a city or if you live just outside of a city. Check out your city meetings and just kind of keep an ear on what's going on in our community. Because if you're informed and you can get to these things before they're further down the pike, then you have a greater chance of stopping some of these things. Whereas if you find out about it once it's passed, it's really
It's already
hard
got
to.
momentum and it's
Right.
hard to stop it.
Exactly.
So tell everyone how they can find out about your website and how they can get in contact with you.
Sure. It's katie4brevard.com, spell out four. And my information's on there, my email, my campaign phone number. And yeah, I'd be happy to answer any questions and I'd get back to you as soon as I can.
And so that email address is info@katie4brevard.com.
Yes.
And phone number
I think it's on there.
321-358-3236. Okay, thanks, Katie, for being with us today. It's been an enlightening conversation, and you want to know that you really have to get involved in what's going on in the county today. If you do not get involved in what's going on in politics today, you will get the government you deserve. We want to close with this quote by a famous person, Ronald Reagan, really great communicator. And this is what he said about government. He said, extreme taxation, excessive controls, oppressive government, competition with business, frustrated minorities, and forgotten Americans are not the products of free enterprise. They are the residue of a centralized bureaucratic government by a self-anointed elite. And that's what you have today. Unfortunately, in a lot of places across our country, we have people who are in government who are not serving you. They're only ingratiating themselves. We need more people like Katie in office. Please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to our channel. You are listening to Brevard News, your trusted news source for real news in Brevard County. Thank you for joining us this week, and we'll see you again next week. Have a wonderful week.